Okay, step one, before we start importing, we want to make sure the preferences are set the way we want them to be. Now, the length of the composition, so any kind of still image, JPEG, Photoshop file, TIFF file, it will only create enough frames. It will bring that image in and put it in the layer, no longer than the length of the composition. That's usually the most economical. The sequence footage, this is the rate that I've recorded in Maya, so I'm going to stay with 24. By default, this is 30, so you need to make sure you look at that and change it if you did do it at 24. All right, now let's bring in import sound first. So here's this is my sound directory, and I'm in the wave format directory inside the sound directory. And there's my body wave that I used in Maya. So I'll bring that same one in. Now I'm going to drag that down to this composition area here. And when I do that, you notice a new icon appears. It's called the body. So this is now a composition. Its title matches the composition of, matches the title of whatever item I dragged in here. I can right mouse and rename it if I want, but for right now the body's fine. I generally like to have the color of my sound something unique. So let's say I'll say cyan. And if you click on these arrows in the layer area here, you'll see where you can work your way down to see the waveform. So you can see where the silent areas are versus where somebody is talking, the narration is talking. Now that I have the sound in, I'm going to import the animation, the images I made. So I'll go back up into the images directory for the project folder. Mine is called body spin pounds. That's the first one in the TIFF sequence. And I can notice here that the dimension is 960 by 540. That's my animation. I'm going to bring it in just straight unmatted. If I drag this down, I can actually put it above the sound. And now what I should see is as I scrub, my animation coming in. Okay. So I really have now the major components of my movie, my sound and my animation. So I'm going to save my project now. And I always want to save it in the same movies directory. Okay. In other words, the movie directory inside the project directory I'm using. Okay. Now I can play my movie. If I hold the command key, I can scrub the playhead. So I can also use the waveform to help me see. So right there I'm hearing the B in body. So that's where I would like to label a title come up. So I'm going to select the horizontal type tool. I'll click on the stage, let's say right here, and type in the body. Just going to use some, maybe get to a blacker, darker type. And I don't know if we need quite 36 at this point. Let's try 30. Okay. That's a pretty big. The question comes in, where does that weight or anvil come in. It's going to go right through it. See, so if I leave the type there, you're not going to be able to read it when the anvil's on the stage. So I'm going to move it, give myself a little more room. Now I could put it over here, but I know there's other things that have come in the way over there, so I'm just going to leave it for right now right here. Okay, so I want to go right where that B was again. The ba. All right, so that's where I want the type to be visible, the word body. So I'm going, again, next to that little arrow in the layer, clicking it to reveal other menus. And there's an opacity, and I'm setting that to 100% opacity. That's the default. When I click that little stopwatch, it sets a keyframe. See the little diamond there and the diamond on the timeline. So if I go in front of that, and I don't know if I need it quite that long. I think that's about enough time right there. And I change that to 0. Because I set a keyframe, After Effects automatically recognize this change and then automatically set another keyframe. So now I'm going to go from, if we look up here, now I'm going to, the word body will be invisible, and then it will come on to that point where it's being set. If I want to get to those keyframes exactly, I can say the letter J to go to the previous keyframe, or the letter K to go to the next keyframe. Now I've got that keyframe. So there's my, in a nutshell, how to put text on, how to animate its opacity, and how to investigate what's going to go on around it. So I don't mind the anvil going through it, I just don't want it to block it or make it invisible. Okay, we can do one more piece of text here. Let's do the title. So I'll close this up. Let's lock up the image sequence to make sure I don't inadvertently move it. I'll lock up the sound so I don't pick it. I'll leave the body the way it is, and I'll take another text tool in this type. I'll type the vertebra. Now, although this is the title, I'm going to make it, bigger. Let's say 36. But I'm going to take its color and kind of make it a little, not quite as bright as that. You'll notice that the body and the vertebra now are on the stage for the entire time. And whether we're going to stay with that or not, we'll see. But I think the vertebra we're going to want on forever. I just don't think I want it to be quite so high up. It might get clipped off. So I'm going to bring it closer. Let's see what happens now. Okay. That's a little too crowded. Okay, that's a little better. And we'll decide how we want that to come on. I kind of think that this should be a little more flush left, so with the word below. Okay. There we go. Let's take that vertebra and animate it just a little bit. So we're at frame 1. We'll take its opacity, make it 0. Come up a little bit. Come a little later in time. Change it to 100. And now let's rewind this and see what's going on. Where did my preview window go? It's in there somewhere. There we go. So it seems like the body comes on just a little early. Let's see. Yeah, body's coming on too early. All right. So let's go get the body. And what we can do is we could actually select both keyframes, drag them a little later in time, try it again.